Hi everyone. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on future stories. We have another story of love and divorce. A young, good-looking woman was happy to buy an apartment, settled it, arranged it with a special high spirits. The windows of the apartment faced the sunny side and created a very pleasant warmth to her dwelling. Yes, and the woman's soul was calm, relaxed. Finally, she had her own apartment, spacious. On the windows she ordered exactly those curtains and tulle, which she so dreamed of. The kitchen was free, and Ava had equipped it with modern gadgets, bought beautiful appliances, different cutting boards, jugs. She had dreamed of it. Now it was her place to live. Her favorite place to live. Now she would live here alone, and that made her happy. Until she needed another husband. Ava divorced her husband, and they lived together for 9 difficult years. You can't call those years happy, although when we get married, we hope for that very happiness. In Ava's case, happiness was illusory. There were many unpleasant moments in the family life. But the main reason for divorce was that the spouse did not want to have children. Or not yet. Or not at all. Ava could become a mom twice, but was forced to have an abortion at the whim of her spouse. And her husband wasn't very generous. You could even say he was greedy. He always tried to save money on everything, and this also began to irritate Ava. But at the beginning of their relationship, Ron had seemed caring and even romantic. He didn't skimp on the flowers, either. But at the beginning of a relationship, a lot of people are like that. You want to prove yourself. You want to fall in love with yourself. And then in a joint life, people begin to reveal themselves. At home, the husband thought that the main housework must be done by his wife. From the outside, perhaps, they were a normal family. During their lives, they bought an apartment and a car and furniture, tried to buy prettier. They had everything except children. The husband, when they had already bought everything they needed, began to save money, save it, put it in reserve. He began to keep a strict account of the family's needs. He became petty. Gradually, Ava began to hate a lot of things about her husband. His behavior. In addition, accidentally looking at his phone, she saw a frequent correspondence with some girl. Text, like it was innocent, but her heart felt that behind it something lies. Yes, one day Ava came home unexpectedly early and found this person visiting her husband. Later, her husband explained that she was a colleague of his and had come by on business for a while. After the unpleasant conversation about the guest, Ava thought of divorce. The relationship was getting cooler and cooler. She made up her mind and informed her husband of her intention. Perhaps he did not expect to hear about the divorce from his wife, but agreed with the decision. They were to divide the acquired together, the apartment, furniture, some property. And here, too, the husband showed his pettiness. The jewelry he gave his wife for her celebrations, he wanted to keep. Yes, and he liked a lot of furniture and was sorry to give it away. He wanted everything. And Ava even gave in to him in many ways. She wanted to say goodbye to this man as soon as possible. As a result, she was left with a smaller part of the property acquired together. Her husband appropriated most of the money, saying that he had accumulated a certain amount of money before the wedding. But now the sharing is over. Ava bought herself an apartment and is ready to start a new life. All the old things are behind her. Now she is free. Ava is pleasant in appearance, and soon men started to show interest in her. Admirers appeared. One of them turned out to be kind, generous, and in love with her. He often became her guest and sometimes stayed overnight. Their relationship was going well. They had a good time. They had fun together. One morning the doorbell rang. Who could it be? Ava wasn't expecting someone else. But still Ava went to the door and cautiously looked through the peephole. Outside the door realized she was standing at the door watching. On the doorstep was Ava's ex-mother-in-law and someone else with her. Why did she show up? Ava hasn't spoken to her ex-family in 6 months. I wonder what brought her ex-mother-in-law to her door. I didn't want to open the door. Ava opened the door and saw her mother-in-law and her ex-husband on the doorstep, and around them were suitcases and big bags. "Hello," the husband said uncertainly, hiding his eyes. The initiative to tell about what had happened was taken by the husband's mother. She said that they had to ask her to stay with them. Temporarily. She spoke of it as if it were. As a matter of course. Such a statement horrified and made Ava laugh. "You must be joking." Ava was surprised. "No," said her mother-in-law. "You shouldn't laugh at those who are unlucky in life. Ron had an accident. Wrecked his very expensive car. Not his own. I had to pay for it. And we didn't have enough money. Ron even sold his apartment. And he was suddenly fired from his job. His mother-in-law even took out a loan to help her son. And they can't live in her apartment either. There are problems everywhere. And these poor relatives standing on the doorstep asking her to understand their difficult situation and not to leave them on the street. After all, they were family." Ava flapped her eyes in confusion and didn't know how to react. She didn't want to tolerate them in her house. She was offended when they counted the money so she wouldn't get more. Yes, she had heard enough accusations against her in the divorce. Her husband felt uncomfortable and didn't push, but his mom urged Ava to help them. The mother-in-law was not going to give up and leave. But Ava suppressed any pity for the living people and said that now she had her own life, her own plans, and her own rules. The mother-in-law, hearing the refusal, began to get angry, saying that Ava had always been so selfish and it was not for nothing that she did not like her son's wife. Ava laughed at this. She didn't think she was selfish. After all, she was the one who had been pulling the family on herself all these years, while this mom's son was relaxing on the couch and not letting go of the remote control. Ava was angry that they came to her, to the former unloved spouse and daughter-in-law. That there are no other people to turn to. No relatives? No friends? After weighing why they weren't being let in, Ron asked Ava if she had someone else, a man. "Yes, I do," Ava bragged, and for some reason she even said his name. She even beckoned him to come over to them, although it was probably unnecessary. But she wanted to show them that she wasn't alone. After a second, a tall man came out into the hallway. He didn't look quite awake. Him was wearing homemade pants and a t-shirt, and he was holding a book ajar in his hands. He wondered why she wasn't letting people in, keeping them on the doorstep. Ava had to introduce them to each other, the people at the door, and told them that these people were in a difficult situation and asked to live with them. The man was also surprised, but he grinned and offered a way out. There was an option with his apartment, in which he could let them live. He offered to rent it. Live in it for a fee. Nobody lives in it yet anyway. Let them rent it. When my mother-in-law heard the word rent, she was outraged. And Ron Nesley said they didn't have any money. They looked miserable. And Ava's new boyfriend, feeling sorry for his ex and his mom, suggested a summer cottage in the country. He could let them live there. This option also did not like mother-in-law. She thought she was just being bullied in this situation. Ron was ready to fall to the ground at this argument. He was blushing and wanted to run away. The mother-in-law was not satisfied with the proposed options. She intended to scandalize, demanded help. So Ava waved her hand and sent them away. She wanted to say many unflattering words to the aliens. When the door closed behind them, Ava felt the tension leave her. She felt light at heart. She now had someone close to her, someone to cuddle up to, someone to feel protected. Let these petitioners go and find someone else to solve their problems. Ava smiled as she realized that this new phase of her life was really wonderful, beautiful, and she wanted to get her mother-in-law and her greedy son out of her mind forever. Greedy son. No, but it's necessary. You came to ask to live with your ex-wife? I can't believe it! It's just the way things are in life. Don't forget to like this story if you like it. Thank you.